Hi folks, Clay here. Today I want to talk to you about the Stoic art of living, and specifically the Stoic philosophy that Epictetus developed. Now, Epictetus was a Roman philosopher who lived between 55 and 135 CE. He taught philosophy in Rome till about the year 94 CE, when Emperor Domitian banished philosophers from Italy. Epictetus then went into exile in Greece, established a school of philosophy there, where he taught many students, one of his most distinguished students being Marcus Aurelius. Now, the Stoic art of living is really about a way of life that leads to enduring happiness, peace of mind, and outward personal effectiveness. Now, Epictetus never wrote anything down, but luckily, one of his students, Arian, recorded many of his lectures, much like Socrates and Plato. Socrates, as you know, never wrote anything down either, but his philosophy lives on through Plato. Again, Epictetus here himself didn't write anything down, but his philosophy survived through two of his works survives, and that was the Enchiridion and the Discourses. And I think that I like about the Stoic philosophy is that it strikes me as a philosophy of real life for real people living real lives. And I found that as I was reading through Epictetus's work, that it very much, and many of the principles, in fact, all of the principles essentially apply today. And I'm just going to share some of those principles with you today. And we'll probably just touch on the surface to introduce you to some of the basic tenets of Epictetus's philosophy. And then I'm going to do a series of subsequent videos that perhaps go into more depth. So, one of the core tenets of Epictetus's philosophy is the idea that some things are within our control and some things are not. And it's our job to know what we can control and what we can't control. If we can master that, then happiness and freedom will begin to become clear. So we can achieve happiness and freedom if we know what we can do and then what we can control and what we can't control. What's not in our control? So Epictetus outlines, and he wants to basically trying to challenge us to think about, so what are the things that are in our control and what aren't in our control? So if we start with the what's not in our control, so he outlined a few things here, and I've added a few things to the list as well. So we don't control our bodies, so what you're sort of physically born into based off of your parents and genetics and all that. So we don't control our bodies, don't control our properties, our reputations, our jobs, parents, friends, boss, economy, weather, past and future. So all these things are external to us. They affect us, but we can't control them. They're external to us. Now, the only thing that we can control, and we flip that around, and the only thing that's actually in our control is our beliefs. So what goes on in your inner world is totally 100% in our control. And in this inner life and how we receive, so if we have something external happens, how we choose to interpret that external event, how we choose to react to it is totally within our controls. I know a lot of times it might seem like it isn't because we have an automatic reaction, but if you really, really think about it, it is more about how you react to or receive to or respond to any given situation, an external stimulus there, as opposed to not. So nobody can do anything to you. That's what I'm trying to say. A second tenet then is that we always have a choice about the content and character of our inner lives. So yeah, whatever's going on inside your mind is totally, completely up to you in how you position it into your mind. So being able to recognize that and then do something with it is one of these keys to happiness. Another tenet is to see things for what they are. So a lot of times, again, what we do inside of our heads and our minds is we project onto things. We create whole stories around events, but Epictetus challenges us to see them for what they really are, as opposed to what we would like them to be or what we think they might be or ought to be, but to see them for what they really are. Next is to create your own merit. And for this is, don't depend on applause from anybody but yourself. Who cares what other people think? The moment you externalize that and you look for someone else to validate you, again, this is one of those sources of unhappiness, or it can be a cause of unhappiness. So create your own merit. Next, accept things as they occur. So again, more if you think back to things not under control, thinking about the past, thinking about the future. So past has happened, of course, that's gone. Thinking about the future, sometimes we can get ourselves so lost in projecting our minds out into the future and then getting all in disarray in the present for something that hasn't happened. So the challenge here is to accept things as they occur. If it happens now, accept it now, deal with it, accept it for what it is, and see it for what it is, but don't be concerned about it until it actually occurs. Another tenet, care for what you have. Again, if you just take anything really, so anything, piece of property that you have, or a friend, or any of these things that you have now, so care for what you do have instead of longing for something different, better, faster, stronger, whatever. The things that you have in your possession now, care for them, because they won't always be there. And when they're gone, they're gone. So care for what you have right now. Don't spend your time wishing for something better, wishing for something different. This wishing for the imaginary that isn't there. What's in front of you, care for what you do have. Next, there's no need to yearn, envy, or grab. And this is about exercising restraint. And, that is a virtue in itself. So, we don't need to pine for some things or envy what other people might have or feel like there's a scarcity, so go crazy and we grab. So there's no need for that. Next thing, avoid adopting other people's negative views. Easy to do as we live, you're around people who are in your sort of circle of influence, and if they take on a negative view, easy for us to fall into that trap. But Epictetus challenges us to avoid adopting other people's negative views. And this is something that I always have lived my life by, even before coming across Stoic philosophy, is that everything happens for a reason. So just know the thing has happened with the reason. Part of our job is to figure out what that reason is and how does it fit into the immediate and into the bigger picture. So it's happened. What was the reason that it happened? What's the lessons that can be learned from what's happened? And lastly, happiness can only be found within. Don't look to external factors for your happiness, be it people or material things. Happiness is an inside job. Thank you.